G'day, how's it going DIYs? So everyone could use a bit more money, or even if you're sick of listening to a boss, you can start doing your own thing using some of these methods in this video and future videos of mine. So this one today is going to be about scrapping welders, new and old welders, for the valuables inside, and we recycle them. It's good for the planet and it's good for your pocket. So stay tuned, listen to what I have to say, and you'll make money tomorrow if you want, today if you want. So let's get into it. Alright, let's talk about why they're worth scrapping. These welders have very valuable metals in them, like copper, aluminium and brass. The older they are, generally the more they have, the more value they hold in them. Here's some of the internals that are already pulled out, and here's a nice old one that's already ripped apart. Here's a casing of another older one. See, that's your older arc, and this is your newer MIG. I'd pay up to 50 AUD for some of the real big older ones, but for these smaller medium ones and that, you don't want to spend any more than 30, maybe a bit more sometimes, but I generally try not to spend any more than $30, whatever the size unit is. The outer leads have lots of copper, as you can see, and the longer the leads coming off the outside of them, obviously the more copper you get. But that's just to show you some of the different types. Alright, so safety wise, for all the safety enthusiasts out there, I use safety glasses so you don't lose an eye. Some people use gloves, or in Australia we call them bitch mittens. Probably shouldn't say the B word, a bit controversial. But female dog mittens is what we call them in Australia. Anyway, just use your common sense when it comes to safety, really. You don't need me teaching you about safety. Some of the tools I use is, I'll flip the... You got a good pair of pliers with nice cutters on them. A hammer. A chisel's always good. A sharp kitchen knife. You can buy it, one of those little hand sharpeners, and you can sharpen it by hand. But that's used to just strip the thicker wires and leads. A drill, you don't really need a drill. We just use screwdrivers and that. I've just got a bunch of random tools, really. You can use whatever you have. I've got socket sets and stuff like that. My tools are everywhere right now. Screwdrivers, random bits and pieces. So when it comes to dismantling them, you want to take all the bolts and stuff off the outside, and then take all the leads off the outside, and you have the bigger leads like this. Strip all those, separate everything into a bucket. Thinner wires aren't worth stripping and aren't worth wasting your time, so they just go in here. The power cords off the welders are obviously thinner too. So they all just go in here. You still get money for them, just a little bit less. And then your thicker wires, like this size, are obviously worth stripping because you get top dollar for them once they're clean. And then you go to the internals. This is some of the different internals. You can see I'm currently unwrapping this out of here, and I've just been pulling it like that, pulling it around. It's all got glue in that, so, and then pulling this through here like this. But yeah, it's a bit of work. It's good to do when you got nothing much else to do, you know. And here's another different type of inside. Looks like it has lead, maybe. Here's what it looks like. Sometimes you don't get everything out. And this is what it looks like for a failed attempt, basically. And if you can't get it out, just move on. Most scrap places will pay you for the unit under an electric motor or a transformer or whatever they put it under in your area, which has still got decent return of money. But generally we want to take everything we can. Some of this stuff's like real thick, so we take it off, we roll it into a ball. I just put the drill on the end of it and roll it into a ball. The best way and the number one tool that you'll need is just a magnet. So whatever is magnetic is steel and not worth that much money. Whatever doesn't stick to a magnet is worth money. So if it doesn't stick to a magnet, it goes into a pile or a bucket or whatever. If it does stick to a magnet, you throw it into your scrap metal pile, and that will build up over time. That's all scrap metal in there. There's a couple bits of rubbish that I haven't taken out, but that's all scrap metal. So we'll scrap steel. Okay, so I showed you my scrap steel, which is worth less. Now this is the valuable non-magnetic metals. This is what I was unwrapping over here. I'm pretty sure this is aluminium. And then here's your leads from all the outside. This is copper, various different grades of copper. You don't have to know much, you just have to separate it, and your local recyclers will help you out with any questions and stuff. They all work differently. Alright, then I get another bucket, or this is just a thing that I put in here like this, and then I can just throw the bolts into all the bolts in there, which are all the fittings and bits and pieces. These are mostly brass and some aluminium and brass. Like I said, you don't really have to know what it is, as long as you know it's not magnetic. It all goes in the expensive pile. So I'll just keep all the little bits and pieces in a container so I don't pee off the recycler dude. Otherwise they will tip it out of the bucket and all your screws and stuff will go everywhere. Some of the thicker wire, as you can see, it's a bit thicker not gonna focus. But yeah, it's a bit thicker, so this all just goes in a pile and will get stripped and then put into this bucket with the copper. Pretty simple stuff. People at the recyclers are always happy to help you because obviously they're making money off it too. I've just been unwrapping this. I can't really film and do it, but sometimes you have to cut through them, but sometimes I just unwrap it. All the stuff that can come off, you take off. I end up cutting these end bits off, obviously, and putting them in that tub over there. But sometimes, well, most of the time, I just cut through it, and then I'll use my crowbar to pull it out from the other side. And that's the difference between this coming out all in one and me unraveling it and doing this. It just really depends how much time you have and how difficult the unit is. This one's really, really difficult. I cut through it. I've tried to crowbar it from the other side and it just won't move. So you could either just cut through these. I'm talking about an angle grinder when I refer to cutting. But yeah, you can just cut through these and keep them separately. Just cut it out. But it's not really worth my time to cut it out, so I'll just leave it in there and sell it and scrap it to the scrap place as a transformer / whatever. But yeah, that's pretty basic, guys. That's about all I can think of now. Alright, there you go. Here we've got cold hard cash, and we've helped the environment from our old welders. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and if you have any suggestions for videos, comment below. And that's about it. Here's the dog.